We've all had those little and big missteps in our lives. What if they weren't right or wrong? What if they're just choices on the way to consciousness? Welcome to the Missteps of Consciousness TV show with Hayden and Julie.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Missteps of Consciousness. Today we've had a few technical difficulties and a couple little missteps here and there, but it's been pretty cool. Today on the show we have me, Hayden Glover, we have my co-host Julie, and we have our special guest, Katie Rubin.
Hi
She's
guys.
a comedian. Yeah. How you doing?
Well, we can say American comedian.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Really good. What's the show today? What are we going to talk about today?
We didn't discuss this at all.
No.
Well, I mean, we did discuss it, and what we kind of came to was that part of what this is what I remember anyway, is that we talked about how the nature of what I do is improv, and it's improvisational, and how I teach improv comedy to people. I do stand-up comedy. I do improv professionally. I do regional theater. Everything I do is improvised. Everything I do is off the cuff. And a lot of us in Access are the type of people who tend to operate well with that kind of way of being. And I think we were joking around, as far as I recall, on the phone about like, well, what if we just don't know what we're talking about because we're going to improvise? And I think it's kind of cool, if I may, and then I'll shut up, that that we had mistakes. If what your show is called is the mistakes of whatever, then here I am 20 minutes late. I thought, for anybody watching this, I thought we were meeting at 1:30 California time, but these guys were like, nope, 1 o'clock. And that was the second time I screwed up the time with these guys, and they're still here. How does it get better than that? So like, I think it's a really fertile topic. I mean, I'd love to dive into that if you guys want to.
Yeah. I've been talking about like creating from the unknown. So that's what you're talking about. And I've been, that's what's been coming up in my world, everyone. And, creating like not having a plan and, let's talk about that. That's really cool.
One thing that, go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's definitely go without the plan, because new roads.
Are you guys related?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, we're quite close, but we're not related. We're very close.
Cool. Past life relations, maybe?
Yeah,
Definitely.
heaps.
At least clear them about 1,000 times.
I'm sure.
His therapist. That's how it all worked. And I used to be his body therapist when I had the wellness center. So that's how we met.
Oh, cool. You mean in this lifetime?
In this lifetime, yeah.
Okay, got it. Nice. Well, something that comes to my mind is that I was just on this call with someone whose name I can't remember right now because that's how my brain is these days, talking about the whole topic that's really hot in Access right now of chaos, right? Chaos versus order. And one thing that I got that was really useful for me from that conversation was the idea of the difference between order and organization and how they're different.
That's what we were just talking about 5
Are you serious?
Yeah.
before you came on. Chaos.
Yeah.
All right,
so that's fun. And so like how organization is actually like super helpful in terms of creating the space to be chaotic. Like chaos, meaning like the way I'm looking at it is the willingness to live in 10-second increments and create now, choose now, rather than choose from yesterday or choose for tomorrow all the time. Although we can choose now for tomorrow, that's a different conversation. Point being, it's like when my shit is organized in my life, I find that I have more space to allow the chaos that is desiring to be created through me, in the way that it's asking me to do it.
I like that. You put it in a very different way that I put it in. So thank you.
How do you put it? I'd be curious to hear.
Oh no, I put it more a direct, like there's a lightness more about about it when you're talking about it. I'm in chaos, but it's still like, yes, you know, chaos and having that organization too. Because what I've really noticed with a lot of things we've been doing is this energy of chaos is coming in, but we're still functioning from order, and the organization isn't there. So it's like, you know, it's like playing with chaos, but still trying to instill order into chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where like organization energy with chaos is, then it flows more. I find with me when I work on my own,
Yeah.
chaos with organization, and it really flows. When I
Yeah.
work with other people, it's that chaos and order still trying to be together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Do you
why
ever notice?
Yeah, go.
Well, do you ever notice how, like, if you join an organization or you work for other people or something, which I try very rarely to do, there's oftentimes, like, this is my experience. I'll be in a place and there's people and they're running a thing, and there's always this sense of like, well, we have to sit down and talk about for 3 hours how we're going to do the thing we're about to do. Instead of just fucking doing the thing they're about to do, they gotta organize, they gotta order the chaos of the doing of the thing. But there's a different energy when, like it could be the same group of people sitting at the same conference table, and if the purpose of the conversation is organization, that can happen quickly. You're going to do this, I'm going to do that, you can do that, can you do this? Great, okay, great, bye, and then go. But that could be 4 minutes of organization to create space for the chaos of being to occur or exist. Whereas people want to get I do find that order often has a connection with significance. Like, people are like, we're going to get very ordered and it's very serious. We're going to take 3 hours to discuss the order of the serious order we're creating. Fuck.
No.
I feel tired just saying that sentence.
That's so correct. I was in a meeting yesterday and it was like that. It was like, you know, me being chaos with organization, where you had this order of significance, and it was like my body sometimes in the meeting was going, I could watch it. It was like giving me all these messages. So, you know, what tools could we use, Katie? Like, you know, especially, you know, if we're starting to be aware and we're starting to be, and we are chaos, when we are working with other organizations, you know, in this reality, and then there's a lot of us are doing that.
Yeah.
What could we do, or what questions could we ask?
I have some awareness about this. But it doesn't look how people like necessarily think it should look or whatever. Like, for example, first of all, I just don't work with a lot of people. I just don't, because I'm not interested in dealing with their order. I'm really not. But then there's like the fun people that I meet who it's like for like where the I was just in a class, I was just in Right Relationship for You with Susan Lazar Hart, and a phrase she kept repeating, or maybe she used it like once or twice, was she said, certain people are just vibrationally resonant. Like you two, it seems like you're just vibrationally resonant. Like, whatever the thing is about the energy of you and the energy of you, together it just resonates okay. And you can just work through stuff and do stuff and create together. Like, I think what I'm interested in is like creating with people with whom I'm vibrationally resonant. So there's that. Then there's this other thing where I'm super willing in organizations. Like, I'll take temporary gigs inside of groups. Like, when I do an acting job, I'm an actor for hire, so I'll take a job at a theater and then I go. One thing I like about the theater is they're chaotic people, so they're not expecting things to be super tidy, although there's a lot of order also inside of it. Yeah. But my point is, like, I'm willing to be judged as weird, and I'm willing to be inappropriate, and I'm willing to be like, yeah, hey, gotta go, like in the middle of a meeting. Oh my God, my phone, I'm so sorry. I will lie through my teeth. I will make up bullshit. I will get sick. Oh, I don't feel well. I mean, whatever it takes to not have to sit through some, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to fill my water. I do all kinds of shit to just, if the energy is, Or another thing you could do is, and you got to shut me up if I'm talking too much.
Keep going.
I can talk more. But one thing that works for me pretty well too is comedy. And this is like a fun thing. One of the things I love about comedy is that it's not just like a thing that certain people do on a stage. It's also like a tool. Because, you know, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, for anyone who doesn't know, talks about how two things are going to change the planet most: laughter and consciousness. And, you know, I don't know if that's true with a capital T, but like, it certainly works for me in the sense that, like, if people are getting really significant about something in a meeting, I'll often make a joke about it right in the middle. I'll just throw a joke in the middle, and everybody's like, and then they're back to their serious thing. But they at least had a second of like, none of this matters so much. Let's have a nice time. And some of those people then resent me because I'm not willing to take them seriously, or I'm not as like married to their whatever. They don't like that. And I'm willing for them not to like me. But other people are like, Katie Rubin did that thing. And I tend to hang out with those people. Now, the other thing I know, and then I will stop talking, is that the people who don't like me because of it, usually what that is, or not usually, I should say a lot of the time, they actually admire my willingness to be that instigator. And later they come back like with gratitude, or they sort of inch their way toward me and start like feeling like, who are you? And what do you do? How do you, because secretly I'm of the point of view, and this may not be very accessy, but I'm of the point of view that like, nobody's pissed at you for shit they don't either want to be or already be.
Yeah.
And, Gary says like, you never accuse somebody of doing something you're not doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, if somebody's mad at me, I just look at the energy and go, okay, so are they jealous? Do they wish they could be a little more free like this? Is this a distractor implant? Like, it's never about me.
No, and if you can see where they're functioning from, like, what you were saying, like, I've been in lots of yoga classes lately, and I've been cracking up laughing. And this lady next to me saying, wow, you're so willing to be judged. And I went, yeah, because when there's a lot of significant and the teacher starts going into significance, I start laughing in the poses and everything. And then everyone starts to laugh. And then I notice too, is when people get pissed off at me, I just go, hey, where are they? I ask the question, so, show me where they're functioning from. And then I go, okay, I'm not making myself less. And those people actually come back, and then ask me more questions and ask me this and ask me that. So it's a lot of fun to play like that too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
it's really cool.
For me, I usually get caught for a second, at least a second, in like wrongness. But the cool thing for me is like, it's like a millisecond now. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. What is this? Who does this belong to? Can I do, oh, and then just, it's something I work with my clients about a lot, is that like, people think that because a thought arises or like a feeling, even when we have the tool of who does it belong to and return to sender and whatever, they're like, but I still think it. It's like, just because you think it doesn't mean you have to pay attention to it. You know what I mean? That's another thing we do where we're like, I was just making myself so wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, stop it. What's the conversation?
Power. Yeah, that's, you're saying giving it attention. When I do, like, I notice when I do it, or my clients or other people say, oh, it's, this is what's going on, and it's the thoughts and feelings. Stop giving it power.
Exactly.
Stop giving yourself over to your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Like, stop giving yourself up. Everyone, including me.
Yeah, I think too, it's like, people, we're lucky. I don't know. I have gratitude, I guess, is what I want to say, for Access, because it's like, and honestly, for all the work I did before Access, because everything in my life has gotten me to the place where I now like, and I'm always like getting it more and more. It's not like I get it forever, but like more and more I get that we aren't our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but nobody's teaching the general population that. So it's kind of like part of my job I've discovered or am choosing is to contribute to the awareness of that to the planet. Like, you guys don't have to buy that you are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you guys know, what that does then is it forces people into like, well, who the fuck am I then? And most people stop with that. You know, they go, well, who would I be? So stop. But what I love about people like us, like people who come for sessions or just those of us showing up to class, is just, you know, we're also willing to not stop with the place of discomfort. You know what I mean? That's what I love about a good humanoid, is like, we'll get uncomfortable and like ask a question and keep going. Like there's something on the other side of that discomfort that most people like to stop with.
Yeah. That is so cool. There's something you said at the start of the show that I really love, and it's just like it's open realities and doors for me. This is when you said, like, when you're functioning from chaos, and you function from chaos of 10 seconds choices, of not choosing from the past or from yesterday. There's so many people, and I know it's like, I do this when I'm choosing from that 10 seconds with the energy of who I am with chaos. But if I choose from the past with chaos, oh wow, it's like, you know, my body goes twisting, and, you know, I want to, you know, put my head in the sand or up my ass, or, you know, it's like that where I just really notice. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, the first thing I want to say is, like, how lucky are you that you have such a strong visceral reaction to when you're functioning from the past.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'll have some of that, you know, because like when I was in class this weekend with Susan Lazar-Hart in Right Relationship for You, she kept being like, this class is so bizarre, because we were really being like, what is the word? Shown, I guess, the energy of functioning from story versus functioning from 10-second increments and choice. And like, what I find interesting is that for me, the moment I sit still or am taking a shower or am not actively engaged fully with my attention on something, this machine is going. It has all kinds of things happening. And, you know, what I like, a question Susan gave me that was really great was, she was like, when I get in my head, first of all, you know, there's the tool of everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So if anybody listening, if you ever get stuck in your head, you can just repeat those two sentences. And man, I did that this morning. I was tripping on something about my boyfriend, about like, I don't even know what. It wasn't anything. It was just horse shit that my brain was inventing so I could get out of whatever. And so I just repeated it a few times in relation to the thoughts that were happening. And eventually not only did I not care about the thing I was tripping about before, but I suddenly had all this care for him. I suddenly was just like, oh, that guy. Like, we weren't even in a fight. It was more like my head was just like, later in 10 years, it's probably going to be a problem that his living room is less clean than mine. Like, that's not going to work out. So we probably should break up now, because I'm not going to be able to negotiate that intent, like, when we're older. Like, it was insane. So I just was like, okay, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. I said it about 20 times while I was driving my car. And then all of a sudden I was like, Eric, I just felt all this like care for him.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's one thing that just works so freaking well. You know why I use these? You know, Blossom is a good buddy of mine. Blossom Benedict. If anyone doesn't know, she's like an access.
Oh, she's amazing.
Person, facilitator, awesome, big wig, friends with all the people. And Blossom said to me recently, we were texting back and forth about something, and she said, I just love how willing you are to use these tools all of the time. Like, you just use them all the time. And I don't know if I wrote this back to her or if I just thought it in my head, but I'll share it with you now. I use them all the time because I'm insane. Like, if I don't use them all the time, I'm uncomfortable. And I now have like a taste of what it is to be light and free and happy and joyous. So why would I ever not use the tools? Why would you ever not use them?
Yeah, so correct. I mean, I use them even in my sleep, I reckon, if I'm not on a call or I'm using them. That's, one of our targets was to set up the show so we could use the tools all the time.
Yeah.
And then we could get other people who are, don't even know about access tools and still able to be using the access tools with people who don't even know about them. So,
Yeah.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that's
What was the thing we were just talking?
insanity stuff. You're saying
Oh,
in your head,
Yeah.
that is insane. Like that is like, how much do we do that? And look, guys, it's not a wrongness or a rightness. It's just,
No.
it's something what we, it's just really acknowledging that
Yeah.
we've been creating and choosing this insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are saying that access tools are weird and wacky. I would say the insanity what we're doing is fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I always say too is that, or like I think a lot or whatever, is that I don't care what form the tools take if they work.
Yes.
I don't care if I have to stand on my foot and spin around in a circle and light my hair on fire. If it feels good and it makes things lighter and I'm happy now, why would I not do that? I don't people, it's the whole thing too of like functioning from judgment and how we do that in this reality and how we've all been so entrained to function from judgment, which is to say, oh, well, the form of how you're doing your healing looks weird, whatever weird means.
Yeah.
What does weird mean? So I'm not going to do it. Okay, so you'd rather be miserable and not look weird. Like, I've never understood that, why people would choose to look normal and be miserable. Because, well, actually, okay, it's the need to fit in. So much of it is the need to fit in, because we think there's a benefit to fitting in.
Yeah,
we
That's
think
the
there's
old-
a value. There's somewhere in people's universe, they value of fitting in what this reality. We were talking about it last week on the other show about the Matrix movie. Like there was a scene in it, Morpheus talks about that people will actually fight to the death than being unplugged from it. So,
right. And I say it like, people are so, I never, but I mean, it's been really cool to play with the access tools and discover all these secret little pockets where I totally want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I'm doing, I can do rebellion from the place of wanting to fit in.
That's interesting.
It's wild. It's just fucking wild.
Oh,
just think of it this way. Well, like, so if people, oh man, it's a very common like comedian thing. You'll be like, I'm so different and I'm so weird and look how different and weird and crazy I am. And now everybody likes you because you've created a persona of like, I don't care about the rules. When the reality is I'm super aware of the rules or the structures or whatever they are, and they totally affect me. And I'm, lately I've really been looking at the energy of not even just looking at it, but clearing a ton of points of view about the ways that rebelling can be equally please like me as fitting in. It's all like, if it has the energy of proving on it or the energy of need, I need some approval from you or I need anything, then it's not present. It's not in this 10 seconds and therefore it's not chaos, right? It's order. It's what did Susan Lazar Hart called it? The poo of this reality.
The point of orders.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Katie. That you just described my whole childhood.
Oh.
So I was a very rebelling and I left home, blah, blah, blah. And the energy of provings on it. And, and I was still trying to fit in, but I was so different. I rebelled and like that. Yeah. And I still had and defending everything. I defended myself for being different, but trying to still fit in. Oh, wow.
Totally. It's that energy of like, Gary talks about, you got to be willing to be whatever energy is required. So if rebellion is required, you got to be willing to be that. to reach your targets or whatever, or to contribute how you're looking to contribute. But if that's not what's required in this 10 seconds, then if you're doing it anyway, what are you exactly trying to prove?
Yeah.
Unless, it's just totally organic to you and you're just being. But it can be, I don't know. These things are
oh, wow. So you're saying, so to be willing to be anything, what's required.
Yeah.
And then if you're being something that isn't required, then that's the energy you're proving.
Well, I don't know if 100% of the time that's the case, but what I know is for myself is that like, I will catch myself these days. It's kind of painful in my body. So I find that I'm not really doing it that much, but I have caught myself a lot of times being an energy to prove, like I'm in a room full of people, right? And I can tell I'm the only one being a certain energy. And there's a way that I was proving the rightness of my wrongness. Or
That brought up.
And everything that brought up. Can we surrender and create it? Yeah. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine, shorts, boys, beyonds. In other words, like if I'm there, for example, being rebellious in a context where it's really not contributing anything, then what am I trying to prove? On some level, I'm trying to prove something. So like I look these days, I've been looking at I've been living with the question of like, well, what would be the greatest contribution here? And sometimes it's my sense of humor, and sometimes it's not.
Sometimes it's just being quiet.
What's contribution? What does, like, even I still get a little bit tongue, with the energy of that. What does that mean? Like,
I think that, it's like, it depends on the context and it depends on the moment. So it's like, if the three of us gather together to, let's say we're going to put on a show and we're sitting around a conference table and we're having a production meeting about putting the show together, and all I'm doing is making jokes, I'm not really being a contribution toward the target of creating a show. But if I have my attention and energy on the target at hand, in the communal agreed upon target we're all working towards, whatever that is, and I'm instilling some humor as I go to forward momentize the target at hand, that I see that as a contribution. Now, you could argue this in any direction. Like, in other words, like, you could argue that somebody sitting in a conference room of people heading toward a target, making jokes and distracting everybody, is contributing because they're bringing up a bunch of shit for everybody else. And that's later those people are going to clear that. And that was a contribution. That's not the kind of contribution I'm actually interested in being personally.
Yeah.
But we could say that was a contribution. Like, there are people who trigger the shit out of me, and later I go home and clear everything that comes up, and I'm like, God, I'm so grateful for that cunt of a bitch I met at that thing, because she contributed to my universe.
So everything, so when you're talking like that, everything contributes to your universe. Like, that's what just came up for me.
Well, until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so like, okay, so for example, like, let's say, first of all, so let's say it stops being a let's say, okay, we're all in a conference room. We're building a show, and we have like a small amount of time. It's got to happen. We got to get it done. And Johnny Smith is on the side, just like, hey guys, pay attention to me. I'm making funny jokes over here. And we're all like, Johnny, we have shit to do. Thank you, John. Oh, okay, I'm going to be in the space of allowance and let Johnny do his thing. But it's really like slowing us down, and it's a distraction, and it's a whatever. That might be a contribution in any number of ways. Let's say one way would be it brings up some stuff for me, and later I go clear it, and I'm like, oh, thank God Johnny did that, because now whatever. But what if I clear all that, and then the next time I'm hanging with Johnny, he's doing it again? Now I just can, I would probably just look at him and have no reaction, because once you clear it, you don't have a point of view anyway. So you're like, okay, Johnny, whatever. So it might not be a hindrance anymore, but is it a contribution?
So so is our judgments of ourselves or judgments slowing us down?
In what way? What do you mean?
If you like,
I mean, yes.
you clear all that stuff up, right? So Johnny's like blah blah blah, and
Right.
you go home, clear that up, and the next time it doesn't affect you because you've got no judgment. You've cleared all the stuff, and so then you can be willing to be whatever to him, or you can tell him to shut up, or what is required.
Right.
But I'm wondering if stuff comes up in the meeting, and this has been going on with me, what if you could clear instant? Be the energy of clearing then and there, not after the fact. Because I know that's what's been slowing me down in all these different projects and everything. Because all this stuff comes up, and then after I clear it, and then the next time, like you're saying, I'm able then be a different energy to that person, and then get it quickly moving forward. I'm wondering, what if you could be the energy of clearing then and there of yourself with your judgment, instant, in the 10 seconds? And
well, I mean, we have the tools for that, right? I mean, we have the tools for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes, when I'm in group settings, I'm inside my head going, interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Like I'm talking to you going, interesting point. I'm not, but I'm saying I could. You know? Or like a lot of times what I do, okay, here's a good example. That's a great point you're making. Yeah. I mean, my personal thing so far has been like, there are times when I can do it instantly and there are times when I can't.
Yeah.
Now, one day I might be able to what else is possible?
Yeah.
You know? And I love your question because it's like, what would it take for it to be instant and faster? But like sometimes like I did a show a while back where there was a person who I was interacting with a lot every day in rehearsal who I had a really hard time with. And I kept pot and pocking all my shit about it. And I kept clearing my judgments and I kept returning to sender. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. I just was not comfortable with this person, was agitated all the time, angry, whatever. Finally, one day, while the person was being whatever they were being, right next to me, like that, I finally asked the question, is all of this judgment actually their judgment of them? Like I forgot to ask that question. And all of a sudden this huge space opened up and I was like, I don't have any problem with this person at all. This person has a ton of problems with themselves. So that helped me in the moment, but it took me weeks to get there.
That is awesome. So it's really asking questions too.
Well, I mean, isn't that the whole game? Yeah.
Well, that's what chaos is.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like yesterday I was thinking like, oh, chaos is just the willingness to live in 10-second increments in a question. And then follow the awareness of what's light. Ask a question, follow what's light. Ask a question, follow what's light. Or just ask a question and move forward in any way at all.
Like that. That's awesome, and that's such a good way to say it to people that have never heard the process of chaos.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I like the way you put everything. Hey, you've got like this ability, like Frank, how you can put it into words where a non-access person would understand.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
It is really cool. And like I've really started noticing that I'm doing it because a lot of my work is around yoga people and spiritual people. Mm-hmm. And, someone was asking me, they said, you always seem to be happy, Julie. And even when you're going through stuff, what is it? And I said, well, I ask questions for clarity because they know the word, like if I said, I ask questions for awareness. And they go, from anything. And I said, from myself, or from anything to ask questions. And, next minute, they were talking between themselves and you could see the difference of, wow, I'm going to try that.
That's cool.
And it is. It's really, Gary always talks, don't talk, access, speak to people.
Yeah. No, you can't do it. I mean, I've tried it. It doesn't work. I mean, it's like certain people who desire the information, I find that you can give them little hints of whatever, but you can't speak in a way that's, I mean, a lot of times I notice if I'm trying to speak access speak for with people that aren't whatever, it's what am I trying to prove, really?
Oh,
Like that.
yeah.
That's a really cool question. I'm going to use that one too. If I ever hear access speak, what am I trying to prove? Oh, Katie, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Because it's like really, like if you were in the communion of being, like why would you need to show people the special language you use? Like they use their language, you use your language. How does it get better than that?
And that's a really cool question. Like you could do that with anything. That question. What I'm proving here? What am I trying to prove here?
Well, I definitely find for myself, like this is just for me. I mean, if I'm stuck in any kind of conflict with another person, I'm trying to prove the rightness of some point of view that I have, or I'm trying to prove my own value or my own worth.
We never do that, Hayden. Oh,
Never.
We don't do that. You're going
I mean, and then once you see that you can either be in 10-second increments, ask a question and create what's light, or all that other bullshit, eventually it's like, what else is there?
What else?
Do you know what I mean? Like, what else are we doing? I don't know what else we're doing. I know this brings me to another thing. Were you going to say something though? I don't want to cut you off.
No, okay, go on. No, you just brought some energy up for me. So I was just like, yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah. So like, speaking of spiritual people, I feel like, I mean, it's such an interesting topic because lately, more and more, when I perceive the energy of spiritualness, it has, except for certain things, like I notice that certain energies still feel pretty light to me, but a lot of it has a lot of like significance and a lot of heaviness to it, like almost like, so I'll speak specifically about myself.
And it's got the causal reality. That's where I've been really playing with it and really hanging around a lot of spiritual people and there is that causal, karma and all like that, but the causal reality that they're really functioning from. So go on, yeah.
What are some other examples of the causal reality you see functioning in spirituality?
Talking about the past, using the wisdom from the past,
right,
and impelling. There's a lot of impelling energy. And I notice that in metaphysics, but I notice that in the yoga community. They'll talk about stories. They love stories, and I mean I love telling a story too. Mm-hmm. They'll use the wisdom and they'll impel it. So it's like incarceration, incarcerating people. My body, when I'm doing the yoga and the teacher is saying, it goes into like, it's trying to come out of prison. Wow. That's one of the examples that I see with incarceration.
That's so great. I wanted you to say it because I've been seeing it lately, but it's nice to hear other people's words about it sometimes because you're like, that's right. That's the thing I'm seeing. Yeah, I mean, for me, one thing it's like I used to do a particular spiritual path, like really deeply. I was on the Sufi path, and Sufism is the mystical arm of Islam.
Yep.
And I still love a lot of I'll still do some stuff. I'll do some prayer stuff and like Sufi practices, and I'll find myself feeling more calm or more at ease or more, like I use it usually to calm down or like get chill and expand or whatever.
So cool.
And cool. What?
That's so cool. I use the yogi practice, like breath and still the sanas. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And what I noticed too is that there are when I look back at the energy of what and who I was being, and I was deep, 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 deep in the path, like on a mountain, out of the world, practice 5 times a day practice, like serious, I was on board, right? when I look at the energy of it now, it's so weird, because in a way it's really similar to what's happening for me now, in that there's like this death of the old self, and everything you think was you dissipates and isn't you anymore. However, the difference was that it was almost like there was a fog. It was almost like the spirituality was kind of a fog that acted like a buffer between me and the world, which was part of what I liked about it, because I'm so perceptive and aware and sensitive that it put like this fog of comfort padding between, like, here, so that I was very like I really was in a very different dimension at the time. And I oftentimes miss the sort of peace, the quiet of that, but I don't find myself choosing it, because it's like I prefer the sort of like light, playful, spacious, what else is possible, brightness that I experience in the practice of consciousness.
Yeah.
Or I should say the application of the access tools.
Yeah.
There's something more alive.
But it's still you choosing it too. Like, applying the access tools, they give you more of you.
Yeah.
When I was on my yogi path, it was the same. It was like when you talked about that fog, that's what it was. When I came back from Thailand and Bali each time, I had this like awareness that I knew there was more, there was possible. Like I remember sitting one day and going, there must be more than spiritual energy. There must be more to this reality. And 2 weeks later, the access turned up in my life.
Yeah.
And that's when I went, wow. So it doesn't mean like I've cut off my yoga and my yogi path. I've actually gone, okay, I really enjoy doing that. But I know there is actually a different possibility. And I know there's a potency of really changing that with yoga. Like for me, it's like using the tools and really going beyond everything that yoga has been. And even transform it in such a different way. That's for me, and using the tools of access, and really just, being so, like for me, it's consciousness now. Like like consciousness includes everything and judges nothing.
Yeah.
So spiritual still is included into all that.
Right.
But people like us that is choosing something different and is really blowing the all the gates. I would say maybe gates are not the energy I'm talking about, but being something different, there's going to be people that what we are is being the invitation that there is something else different. I'm not talking about access just alone. I'm talking about consciousness. That's what I'm talking about. Access, it's amazing, and the tools, and it's that infinite being that we are, but it's consciousness. Yeah, it's really cool. That's how I look at it. That's how I see it.
I hear you. I relate to that, and I always get a little bit, like my ears perk up a little bit with when people say the word consciousness. Only because, at least from what I've seen in the metaphysical worlds, like where, all the telecalls of all the systems and all the spiritual paths and all the everything that's out there, everybody's using the word consciousness as if it's the thing they have that they are teaching the world, or they are being, so the world can be they can be the invitation for the world, whatever. Like I've studied with all kinds of people, all of whom think they are teaching consciousness. And I'm not saying this to, I don't have a conclusion. I'm really in the question of like, really, really, really though, what is consciousness? And or like, I don't even know if that's the correct question, but it's something about like when we say, like I say the sentence you just said all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm really into consciousness now. I'm not so like spirituality, like yay, but I'm into consciousness.
Yeah.
But it's like, what does that mean? And I know that like the Gary definition, which I love, and I teach it to my students and my clients, is it includes everything and judges nothing. And I love that because it's the energy of the space of non-judgment.
Yeah.
But if you go sit with the Sikhs, for example, they'll tell you consciousness is love. And if you sit with the Kundalini yogis, they'll tell you consciousness is light. And if you go sit with Yogananda, whoever the fuck, he'll tell you consciousness is like non-duality, Vedanta.
No.
So like,
so what if consciousness is what is consciousness for you in the 10 seconds?
That's good.
So really using the energy of chaos and in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like, and what if that can create, like what will that create by being, like what if consciousness hasn't existed here on planet Earth before? And yeah, it's all these different points of views and, you know, like everyone has a point of view about what consciousness is. But what if it's actually that, you know, being the energy of chaos, and then what it is to you?
Yeah, I mean, yes. And I think just, and what else is possible? And like having been a person who's been on many, many paths in a deep, deep way, like I'm never like I'll just try a little thing and then move along. I'm like, we're doing this, you know, and I, whatever. And like
your energy, because it's like like, you know, I woke up this morning going, oh, and then like, all right, let's move. And then when you came on and Hayden came on, it's like, you know, like move. It's just awesome.
Thank you. And what I was going to say is that like, having been on a bunch of paths, it's like, I can see that it's almost like any point of view you come to about anything. Like I'm asking the question, what is consciousness? But I'm wanting an answer, right? So if I had an answer, the answer would be a conclusion and I would be out of consciousness. Well, so really it comes back to consciousness being like the state of being. Like if you could be, if you could actually be being, you'd be in no judgment, you'd be in no conclusion, you'd be in no point of view, you'd be being, you'd be space and infinite possibility and maybe a question, maybe.
That's what the energy, when I was talking, giving an example, the energy of being, what if it's just being?
Yeah.
I have this great one I've been saying, if I didn't have that point of view, what would I create and what would I choose?
Yeah, that's nice.
And it gets me out of so much when I'm going, oh, I need to clear this, or I need to do this, or I need to do this. I go, if I didn't have that point of view, or that distractor implant, or just distracting myself, what would I choose right in the 10 seconds? And that just gets me, like, it's getting me out a lot quicker.
And everything that brought up for me, I now destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, beyond.
That's so cool. Look, we can keep going. I do need to run off. And
so do I.
Want to, go on. This has been amazing. I just love this conversation. I love your energy.
Thank you. Me too. Thanks for having me.
This has been really cool. And, what if consciousness is being? Yeah.
So what would it take for each of us to be today?
To be
and everything that doesn't allow it. And all the computations, calculations, algorithms, and conclusions keeping us from just being the space of being. Can we destroy and uncreate it on 5?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. That's just wow. Hayden.
Can I say I love doing the missteps? I love doing the missteps. I get not cancelled, facilitated for half an hour on everything that's going on. It's awesome.
How does it get better than that?
It is amazing, and you know too, it's our energy too, Hayden, of what we bring to the show, and who we bring onto the show. Like you were my first pick. Like I went, oh, Katie, Frank. It's like all these different people because there was this awareness in me that I just knew you would bring something so different to the show. And so we can have people, even, watching the replay to go, aha, maybe it'd be, planting the seeds, someone could be watching this in 10 years or 20 years, so this show, I'm just so grateful for you being on the show, Katie, grateful for the show and grateful for Hayden, really grateful.
Yeah, I want to just acknowledge Hayden, just because whenever I almost like have a hard time looking at your face because you're so fucking cute.
Oh, thank you.
And like so full of like light and kindness and gratitude and joy that it's like, it's like see what happens with you.
Oh.
It's like that Cheshire cat. Like he's like, he sits there and it's really cool. It's the energy you be like. We were talking about consciousness. Like I love talking, and so what if Hayden's the energy, like being the energy of like you said, light, joy, gratitude. What if you didn't have to speak? What if I do all the speaking for and you just be the energy? Oh, thank you, Katie. Thank you.
I just look at you and I'm like, you make me think of a thing Gary said when he talks about humanoid men and how they're misunderstood so much in this reality or judged because they are like the sort of like the nesters. They're like the space of kindness that is like the nest in which the women come and create the future. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yes.
And it's not to say, it's not like it's just amazing to me. There are a couple humanoid men that I know, mostly in Access really. And I'm starting to see them in life also other places like, and I'm just like, wow, a few years ago, I would have totally misunderstood this energy. And now I look at it and I'm like, thank you so much for being who you are. Like you are so nourishing and nurturing to the women of this world, like in ways that you probably don't even know yet.
No, thank you. Well, Hayden contributes to me, for the last 6 years. It's just been amazing. Thank you. You've just given me more awareness what he is to me. So thank you.
Oh, that is a good better.
And what if that is, to all the women out there, to their men, like the nurturing and the kindness and the joy and what they bring to you.
Yeah.
So thank you, Hayden. All right. On that note.
Nice.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. And we'll see you next week, everyone. We've got Graham and Kelly from South Africa. That's going to be on our show next week. So we'll talk to you then. Bye, everyone. Bye.
And that's another week done and another great episode. Hope you all enjoyed it as much as Hayden and Julie did. See you next episode.